This man is not a superhero. He's a very, very proficient killer, and a man who doesn't want his son to find out. You're often, as a filmmaker, looking for some kind of mythic story or a story that holds a mythic weight.
And card!
Road to Perdition, you have a feeling that that's not, say, the road to utopia or the road to Bali. You don't want to live this way.
I had the graphic novel sitting on my desk. I was on the verge of handing it to my assistant to read. I was about halfway out the door when I started flipping through it, and I loved it immediately.
It's a very simple piece to read, and immediately was attracted to it. Sam Mendes, who hasn't made a picture since he won the Academy Award, went for it right away.
When I read it, that was my first response. This is a film. It's meant to be a film. It speaks in images, not in dialogue. It's the story of a hitman for a small-town mob, an Irish mob, set in the last mythic American landscape, the 1930s, when there was still a space in which to completely lose yourself in the vastness of America.
Everybody talk in. Hey, Mark.
I'd never seen anything like this on the current horizon. Here's a movie that should be predictable and is utterly unpredictable.
I was looking for a part like this, a character part, and a part that was as far away from anything else I'd ever done as possible, and this was kind of it.
Camera rolling, Mark?
Well, he sent me a script. It was a marvelous part. It was of a size that is appropriate for a gentleman of my age.
Every card that seemed to be played on this just got better and better.
Okay.
I had no idea how to open the gas tank.
It's amazing. You know, you go up and you see Tom Hanks and he's talking to you and you're like, oh yeah, wait, that's Tom Hanks. And that's Paul, that's Jude Law. It's just amazing.
I was thrilled. What's exciting to me about all of these people is they're all cast against type. They're all playing very, very dark figures, very mysterious figures who reveal themselves to be not what they seem.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be able to be in a movie like this, but I looked at it and I said, well, geez, I felt as though that, I know exactly what to do here. And that was surprising. It was shocking.
There's one thing better than having a great actor, and that's a great actor who's never really done what this part is asking him to do before. And furthermore, he's keen that he tries.
It's a beat. That just gives you the breath.
The amount that is unspoken that Tom can carry with him as an actor is extraordinary.
Tom is so amazing to work with. You know, he works such incredibly hard, long hours and every day.
Okay, guys, that makes us ready. Quiet, please.
The reality is these kids just don't know what their dad does for a living.
She doesn't ask too much about his work. He just didn't then. She accepts it. She loves him very much. She's seen her husband come home enough times with blood on his shirt to know that there's stuff going down.
He loves his dad dearly and he wants to get close to him, but there's always that thing. His dad compliments his brother, looks at him, stares at him, but he doesn't say anything.
One of the most interesting thematic strands of the film is the relationship between father and sons. The head of the family, played by Paul Newman, is a kind of adoptive parent to him.
Okay, guys, that makes us ready. Quiet, please. Roll, please.
64 Apple, take 5.
Paul Newman was an idea that we all had.
It's a natural law. Sons are put on this earth to trouble their fathers. He's a good bad guy. Lovable killer.
Paul, of course, is an incredible person to have on a set.
Well, back to work.
He's always working at it. He comes in having spent hours in his trailer thinking about tiny little pivotal moments, which really is amazing. Having been through the career he's been through, to care that much about it and to not leave anything to chance or think, oh, no, I've done it for 50 years, I can just wing it. You know, he never thinks that. And that's inspiring, I think, to everyone.
Paul, come back the other way a little bit. Just
Paul never changes. He works very hard. We did Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and then The Sting, and then The Verdict. It looks like it's easy, but he gives a lot of thought and a lot of training and preparation for everything that he does.
He's extraordinary. Still like full of beans and energy and inspiration to be better and get better. And I mean, he's already a legend.
I'm playing Paul Newman's son. I'm sort of Tom's half-brother. I'm a pretty nasty piece of work, I suppose. He's got a big chip on his shoulder. I think he sort of almost plays second fiddle to Tom's character, Mike, because Mike is sort of the favorite son, even though he's not the real son. So there's a lot churned up inside him, and I think this fuels what he does.
Curiosity takes me to a big place. I hop in the back of his car during one of his jobs. Just looking under the door, has no clue what's going on. All of a sudden, 3 guys die in 5 seconds right in front of his face.
Jesus Christ, Connor, what the hell are you thinking?
He's really a wonderful discovery. Tyler reminds me of a young Tyrone Power. He's just remarkable.
What is your sport?
My real sport? Baseball.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
What position?
Shortstop.
The moment he walked in the room, he was clear that he just has something special. I defy anyone not to notice it the moment he walks on screen as well. He also has the air of an old man at times, of great wisdom in the eyes that belies his years.
That's the moment when it all unravels. It ends up being the trigger for the tragedy that strikes down at the heart of the family.
As far as he's concerned, that's the trigger he needed. And then once it gets going, he has to follow it through completely, and he can't just take out Sullivan.
He is the person who sets the story in motion. He is the person that sets Sullivan off on his journey.
It's the worst possible nightmare, thinking that a witness was being removed from the scene. Turns out instead to be the mother and the youngest child of the Sullivan household. Younger Michael thinks it's his fault, and the older Michael knows that it's his fault. I mean, it's one of these great things where everybody's right and everybody's wrong at the same time.
Now, we are the only 2 left, and we have to kind of come together in order to make it work out.
Out of the bad comes good. Out of the tragedy comes some kind of understanding, some kind of epiphany.
Here we go. Pictures up. And background action. And action.
We have to erode this home so that it has a quality of disrepair. Once a prosperous world, but now gone in the Depression.
And action.
As you can see, it's wonderful film.
And director of photography, Conrad L. Hall.
Pull out just a bit with the sauce. There. Pictures up.
It's very simple to put a team like we have, a great team, together when you have a wonderful piece of material.
Nobody said no to us. It's really unbelievable.
They brought them back from the 30s.
I think I'm the only one here without an Oscar.
We did an exploratory recce before we decided to shoot in Chicago. Dennis Gassner had gone out there, and he basically said, look, I think the stuff is still here.
Wonderful, isn't it? Yeah. We've had a great time in sourcing the city of Chicago, which has been a wealth of great imagery for us. East Dundee, little small town look.
There are these great old streets of old hotels, warehouses, industrial areas that are now closed down that still exist. Amazing things that are still there. It's fantastically mythic in its presence.
You do get that kind of like, did Sam somehow send a camera crew back in time in order to capture some of this?
You feel the vastness of the country. You feel the beginnings of the height of the industrial power of the Midwest. And I was very, it sounds corny, but I was moved by it. I went there and I was amazed by it.
We were going to stay in Chicago. We wanted to be able to have complete flexibility, so we needed a stage.
The second floor and the first floor of the Sullivan House.
The state, the Film Commission, helped us clear out the armory. And we built the interior of the Sullivan House and the interior of the Rooney Mansion there.
Wow. The first time I've seen a lot of the things here in place, but this is really nice. I've done a lot of period films, and this one seems to be the fusion of all of the things that I've done.
Get a white card in there. Coming back on the couch.
I play Frank Nitti, who was the right-hand man of Al Capone. I suppose he is sort of orchestrating things behind the scenes and has to figure out exactly what to do.
Where's my father?
And there's the guy whose job it is to stop Michael Sullivan. That's McGuire, the reporter, as played by Jude Law.
If you were to ask him what he did, he'd probably tell you he's a photographer. He's a crime scene photographer who specializes in capturing dead bodies in the place of murder.
In Jude, I've always felt there's something very sinister, difficult to pin down, very vain, with a very kind of visible feminine side, very flirtatious, dark, sexy, odd, unknowable. And that's what led me into pushing him as far as I have in much further in that same direction with this character, who really is a very strange man indeed.
Sullivan and his son Michael poses a threat to not only the Rooney legacy, but also the Capone legacy in and around Chicago. So they have to hire someone who's a specialist at tracking people.
It gets narrower and narrower as it goes along, and tighter as a story.
Everybody talk in.
Victory 229 Apple, take 2.
Mark.
Two trains set on the tracks towards each other at high speed, and one of them is going to have to come off. One of them is going to have to die. And that affected the way that we shot it, the way that we designed it, the way we conceived it.
Guys, let's give it a sweep and then we'll go again. Can you go up and put a flag there and some guillotine?
No, next one to your right again. That's good. Thank you very much. Turn it to your right. I would say if we started here. I had a love affair with Sam on American Beauty. He's such a great director. And when he was going to do another film, said, I'm with you.
The fact that I ended up working with a 74-year-old hippie from Tahiti who has shot Cool Hand Luke, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, I kind of relished every day that I had with him because, I think he's a master, and I think that cinematographers like that come along 2 or 3 a generation.
More. Hey, what's your... there, I like it dark. Okay. I'm having a good time, but I'm tired. Long hours. He has a strong hand on how he sees things.
That's it, don't move it.
Not only photographically, but every aspect of filmmaking, he's in total control.
The union of him and Conrad is already so well established that you can always sense they're already speaking some language that only they understand.
I feel immensely grateful to him. I mean, I can't really even describe how attached I've become to him.
Anytime Sam Mendes wants me to shoot a film for him, I'll be there. He is such a great director. He is so much a veteran. Basically, it's Orson alive.
When Conrad puts his eye to the eyepiece, everything goes quiet in his own head, and he is absolutely focused.
I'd walk onto the set, and rather than seeing a bunch of lights and cables, I could only see the illuminated set as he wanted it to be. It was truly like going to a museum and seeing paintings. It's like one of the Dutch masters has lit this thing.
He can drive you mad, spending way longer than you ever expect him to setting up one shot. But when you're in the cutting room, when you're in the screening room, when you fought for those extra days, when you sit down and you look at the movie again, you thank God that he was there. There is a seasonal shift in the film. There's a color shift in the film. Everything is in some way linked into telling that story. The way people dress, wear clothes, everything is designed to tell the story of the gradual humanizing of the central character.
Once we find the architecture, then the tonality of the film starts to evolve. A cold world coming into springtime as we go on the road.
It's almost impossible in cheerful Technicolor to show the Depression. There was color in those days, but there wasn't also. It's winter, it's cold, so the only thing I can do is pull back as much color as I can. I guess my inspiration was a black and white movie.
It would have been a wonderful film to shoot in black and white. I'm trying to make it monochromatic as I can. Keep it that way.
There was an enormous amount of making weather. We've had paper snow, foam snow, marble snow, ice. real snow, powder, foam, God knows what.
The attention to detail has been incredible. We've done football fields, literally many, many football fields worth of artificial snow.
Winter in the Midwest it's a pretty bleak time. We were out shooting in the woods, and it was winter and it was cold, and man, everything was dead. It was just dead. There was no leaf. I mean, even the ground looked dead.
99.9% of everything you see, we put down. Everything was just so realistic. It was just so nice.
There is a lot of pressure. But there was more pressure on my first movie because I didn't know whether I could make a movie or not. But that's a good sort of pressure, and I've never shirked pressure. I like it. I find it brings out the best of me.
Okay, moving around, get your hand on the bottom, that's nice. There, having a good look.
He is such a perfectionist, and he's on top of his game, and he's so prepared.
Movie making, on the whole, made in the head anyway before you start. Storyboard, designs, everything is discussed in detail before you start, and you need to know how you're going to at least try and tell the story before you begin.
I'm just going to make a slight adjustment. Okay, about 6 inches.
He knows what he's doing. A lot of directors can give you instructions, but if you're in trouble, very few of them can get you out of it.
Restless, shifting, and go.
When you're adjusting, Sam will take you aside and really get you into the character, let you know what he needs out of you for this particular shot, different angles, what he needs to see. All around, he's just an awesome director.
We should change to the other music, okay? Once Tyler goes.
He's meticulous, and he won't let things ride.
Okay, and do little mock bows, or yeah, whatever.
We're missing something, we've got to find it. And that, ultimately, is just incredibly satisfying.
You feel very safe. You feel like you're in very good hands. I suppose it also makes you feel like you got to raise your game, which is a good feeling. You know, a little bit of fear in the belly is always quite nice.
Sam is bringing great consequence to the nature of what essentially is gunplay in this movie. There's a lot of shots of, say, for example, this Thompson submachine gun being put together, because it's not a trivial thing. I think we're trying to do something here in which the psychological aspect of what they're doing has the grander attention on it, as opposed to how cool it looks to fire these weapons.
It's a film about the epic qualities of life, which for me are what all the great films are about.
In a way, the second half of the film is the battle for the soul of his son.
In good storytelling, there's always great paradox. And the only time you can do that is when I think the audience recognizes themselves up on the screen somehow.
Perdition is the name of the town, a mythic place in their memory, in their minds, something that leads them on, a sense of hope.